Hi guys, welcome back to another timeless reading. This is being recorded on Saturday, I said it again, October 4th, 2025. It's 8:30 in the evening. Oh my word. It's been just like, I'm so thankful for the high holidays, but it's been so chaotic. This is why I tried to book it off. Because it's just like the prayers, the readings, and I'm so incredibly grateful for it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, even like, I swear it feels like a retrograde is going on. Like electronics have been acting up, and it's just like this big release is happening. So in October, if you don't follow my channel, they talk about how the veil is thin, and it when we celebrate Halloween, right? It's the last day of the veil being open, and it's like we go out for tricks and treats, and we wear costumes. They're saying decorations, but costumes, and you know what I mean? And it's just, the way that I see it now that my kids are older, it's like we're giving back to the community as they had given to our kids. So, you know what I mean? We tried to sit there, and last year was our first year here, and it was just like giving back in a way where it's just like, how many years my kids went out and got trick-or-treats, and it's just like, it's like a good, beautiful pastime. My kids are doing it, and they love seeing all the costumes and everything, so it's fun. But getting into the cards, they start off really strong with the King of Cups. For some of you, this will be different. Take what resonates. If you feel like you're being pulled in a different direction, what I would do when I would watch my favorite healers do readings is I would write down what I felt, what the message was, because it's like higher self coming through. Like we were talking about the thinning of the veil there. So this is a really potent time for delivered messages. Maybe you're coming into your sight, your hearing, beyond this earthly, living. So be open to those messages. A great time to get a reading. Everybody's going indoors. Maybe get people together, and do a group reading or something like that and see how that goes. But I definitely feel like it's just like, be open. This is also a time to sit there, like I learned recently that the Asahi Records isn't a library of books. It's actually energies. I was just like, what? I was like, how do we get here? How many times I came up in readings for people that I read for, and it's like, it makes sense now. You know what I mean? So at the time it didn't make sense because I thought it was like this higher level of thinking, a higher level of living, higher level of discipline and everything like that. And it is in a lot of ways. But just like high holidays, it's a discipline, and to sit there and do all those, you know what I mean? Especially Yom Kippur, because it's the first day the door opens, the second day the door closes, and then you have Shabbat on Friday. You know what I mean? And it's just like, you could sit there and say you're tired, but the way that I see it is like, God has never once told me any time that I've asked for anything that he was too tired. This is just my spiritual belief. You believe in whomever you want or whomever you don't want. You know what I mean? It's all free will. But strong with the King of Cups, these strong emotions coming forward. It is an emotional time. Like, this is why when I have the urge to put up the Christmas tree, I do it. Not like, I remember it was Halloween Eve. Like, it was Halloween, actually. It was dying down. It was like 8, 9 o'clock, and I was literally putting up the Christmas tree. And I'm just like, I know, because my father's, for the longest time, birthday, it made me upset, depressed. Now more so is magnified because, Shane. They're only days apart with their birthday. So it's just like, you sit there and it's just like, get it done while you can. So that way, I feel like the way that it works when you go through a journey, it's like as you go forward in life, there's a lot of, like even my father's anniversary was passing. It's like the day I started doing tarot. Like I started posting out of nowhere. I'm like, I'm just going to post how I feel about this card, and I would do it. I did it for 5 days out of the week. And I'm just like, wow, this is exhausting. And it's like, it is. Like, you definitely don't understand the physical toll it takes on you when you do someone's reading, or you pull for yourself, or you get channel messages or anything like that. It's just, when you really delve into it, it's just like, you really definitely get physically tired. And I keep telling people around me that have the ability now, that they keep doing it day and day and day. And I'm like, you need to rest. And then they're like, I'm so tired. I'm like, because of what you're doing. You're doing it every single day for hours on end. You don't take a day for yourself. It's like, that's why you're so exhausted. Like, you need to woo-sow, because you're going to burn yourself out. But the King of Cups, it's like following your intuition, the veil being thinner, it's like coming into your own, but very strongly fill your own cup. You got to take care of yourself. You know, people will take and take and take and take, and they'll be, when you're burnt out, they'll be like, well, you kept giving, so I just kept taking because you kept giving. That's what a lot energy vampires. We all think ghouls and goblins are the things that are going to harm us in the night, and it's usually who we call our loved ones that surround us that are not supposed to hurt us are the ones that are hurting us. The Three of Wands. So when I started this, I did the reading of, I think it was like my birthday that I did the last one. It's just been so busy with high holidays. They showed the Six of Wands, and I'm like, well, this was from the previous time that I did a reading, or I did a reading for someone else. Six of Wands. So when you get the Six of Wands and the Chariot, you know what I mean? This is an absolute, yes, this will definitely happen. So showing the Three of Wands here, like the universe has your back. So when you feel exhausted or you feel like things aren't turning out the way that you want, it's like, how could I sit there and kind of change the situation so that it's going in the direction where I feel comfortable, where I feel like stability, because it's like also a mindset. It's like understanding at this moment, especially this week, it's just like, a lot of people paid their mortgages, their rent, their house insurance, Sonny's insurance come, and it's crazy how much pet insurance is. Go up, son. What are you doing? He's sitting on the floor not knowing what he's going to do. Well, go sit somewhere. Come on. Up. You're annoying me. He's going underneath the tripod. I'm like, he's going to hit it. But, they're showing that you will succeed. Even though right now you may just feel tired. So like tonight, you have a full day tomorrow. Sit there and go to bed early. Or try to get done some things today that will lighten the load for tomorrow. Not to overdo it, but just so that way, because you have a full day, you're chasing your tail. It's like where you could sit there and lighten that a little bit. So Three of Wands is the universe supporting you. So learn how to rest, not to give up. I feel like those are very potent words. They are showing the Four of Wands here. So celebrations at home. Canadians are going into our Thanksgiving next weekend. So, you're getting ready to celebrate at home. In that way. Some of you could be celebrating birthdays. They're saying anniversaries. So that could be something else that's potent. But it's like, learn to celebrate, even in life's small moments. Make the most of every day. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous. This fall has been stunning. We're getting to 30-degree temperature. So the U.S., that's like, 80-something, 82, 85. So it's just like perfect fall weather where it's warm in the day and nighttime it's cool enough that you can, get a really restful sleep without tossing and turning because it's hot. We showed the Empress. So be patient as things evolve. Even though, we got the King of Cups starting us off, don't forget to fill your cup. Don't forget to take care of yourself. Don't forget to take a moment out for yourself. Do little things for yourself. Some people, it's like, doing their toenails, doing their hair, giving yourself a facial. Just those little things. For me, when I'm sitting there and I'm watching TV, it's not sock season yet here. So it's like, I could look down and look at my toenails and they're done. And they look good. You know what I mean? It makes me feel a certain way. When it's all chipped and, it's like you need a pedicure, you put some lotion, you know what I mean? It's like sitting there and doing something a little extra for yourself. It's just like, it makes you feel good. For me, it's like when I get certain things done, it's like another thing that I don't have to think about because it's finished. You know what I mean? Where I sit there, okay, I'll try to get it done today. And unfortunately, because the day was so full, it didn't happen. But it's just like, by the grace of the universe, we get another day to do it. But being patient in a seated position, even with the Chariot, in a seated position, you will be the victor wearing the wreath. Where you're putting your energy into is where you're going to grow. You're going to keep going. You're going to keep growing. A lot of people are thinking about their future, especially in the climate that we're in. It's so uncertain. A lot of us are trying to find stability. We're trying to move forward and that kind of stability or savings or whatnot. And it's just like, no matter how much we are like, oh, okay, this is coming down here, this is one less thing I got to worry about. But then something else comes up and it's like, oh, now it's taking a piece of the pie over here. You know what I mean? It's like where you're trying to sit there, maybe make yourself a nest egg or save for college for the kids or something like that. Save for their future, just a savings account for them. It's just like you're trying to sit there and make something beautiful, but it's always something trying to take away from that. You know what I mean? So it's just, You know, like they said, being in a seated position, you're not going to get yourself there by worrying. You're not going to get yourself there by fretting or screaming or shouting or hurting yourself. You're not going to get there. We don't know what that looks like. That's in the future. That's a future problem. Let's worry about the here and now. What can we do about here and the now so we can move forward in a stable way? You know, every step that you make forward is progress, is success, because you are taking a step forward. You could choose to stand still and sink in that moment and get into depression, or you could sit there and be like, you know what? Even though I don't see like a fruitful, or maybe you're growing underneath the surface. You know, they always show that with the tree, with the roots. The tree may not look very big, but underneath the roots have expanded. So that way it's not so easily toppled over. And that's something when they say learn to rest instead of to give up, is because in that moment they're saying you're growing at this moment. You may not, people are people that are judgmental. Just because they don't see these big things here, there, or there, or you don't advertise everything, doesn't mean that you're not growing. But they'll sit there and pick that apart because they're like, oh, I don't see it, so I don't believe it. And that's them problem, not a you. Nine of Cups sitting in the future beautifully, so we're getting a lot of seated position cards, like, you know, when we're talking about, you know, the King of Cups, learn to rest. You're showing the Empress. You know, this is all about new beginnings. This is all about rebirth. This is, you know, we're entering the season that even when, you know, with the trees, they're losing their leaves, but it is also beautiful. You know, when we get excited to see them in the springtime and they're budding, and we see, like, you know, little signs of life again, as you can hear the birds again. You know, you're starting to see like the bumblebees and all the insects we grow to love, like the ladybugs. Right now, the ladybugs this weekend have been like crazy. You know, it's like learn to appreciate those moments. King of Wands, following your intuition, as we were talking about earlier. You know, learn to follow your intuition. For me, the Kings, I feel like this is what, you know, some people are like, this is who's stepping forward in your life. For me, I feel like this is what you need to pay attention to. I feel like it's the Emperor. You know what I mean? I feel like this is where they're being stern with you. Like your dad is telling you this. It's like you listen when he speaks. Whoever that monarch is in your family, that when they speak, you listen. It really resonates with you. So you'll probably hear things moving forward like that resonate with you. You've been going all summer. This is why be thankful for the seasons where it's like now it's time for rest. You've been go, 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 go. Like the flowers this year have been so beautiful. We planted some little seedlings in the pots, and, you know, they were later to grow, but we are enjoying the beauty now. You know, we've had a couple of frosts and they made it through there. I didn't think they were going to make it through, and they did. They proved me wrong. Everything else I brought inside, because I was like, oh, there's no way. The frost will kill them because they killed them before. Well, we lived up north too, so it was a little different. But, you know, we brought everything else in because we're afraid they would get destroyed. But it's like, I'm not ready to let go of the flowers. I'm not ready to let go of the beauty and the color of the world. Because when you take all the flowers and you put them inside and you're looking at wherever you display them, it's just like, wow, like, what is life without color? You know, it's such a beautiful world, like, you know, with all the different color flowers and all the different species. And it's just so stunning. And we're learning what really, you know, maybe invest a couple of dollars more, and it's like you could have this beauty all year round, because the summer with all the fires and everything really cooked the peonies and everything. So this is like concentrating on your work, or it's something you wanted to start, something you see yourself evolving in, something you're being drawn to. You know, with myself, I've been told since I was young that I have healing hands. So it's like getting into like endeavors with that. It's just like, you know, where I'm being called to. It's just me. It's my fear standing in the way, you know? So it's just, and plus it's like been so busy. It's like trying to get a moment to sit there and do some things. It's like, that's where I appreciate this type of season of like where we're going transitioning. We're in fall now, the early, you know, weeks of fall, you know, the second going into the third week of fall. And it's just like, you know, appreciating that it's not so demanding and taxing on us with the heat. It's not so demanding and taxing on us where we have to, like, you know, be in the garden and everything every day. You know, like we've got a last of the crops there that are hopefully will come through. This season wasn't very good for us, but that's okay. You know, you learn. You know, when you plant your garden, it's not a promise that you're going to get a bounty. You know, I sat there and at the beginning of the high holidays, you're supposed to give your first harvest as, your harvest offerings. And the little boy next door to us, he planted some seeds. So I was like, I want to make sure he gets one. So we made sure that he got one as well. Like, we got some zucchinis, and I'm like, I'll make sure he gets it. The deer have been eating the crop. That's been the biggest problem. But, what can you do? It's like, I'm going to appreciate the beauty of the deers, because we didn't see them last year. I had a great garden last year. This year they came and they're eating everything. So these last two cards, it's the Ten of Swords in reverse. And I feel like because you have healed, that this injustice is coming in. I feel like, and lover or hater, J-Lo, I've always admired her, but, I was just like, let me see what this is about, watch some TV. And, it's just like she was talking about, like, maybe it didn't come at that time when she was in her 20s. She's working a lot harder now. And she's like, because she wouldn't appreciate it, or she didn't understand the journey she was on, or she didn't understand herself. You know what I mean? And I feel like when they sit there and people are like, I prayed for things for years. But even Judge Judy talks about that. It's like, if you don't make it in your 20s, you'll make it in your 30s. If you don't make it in your 30s, you'll make it in your 40s. Where are you putting your energy into? Because a lot of us are putting our energies into our careers, in our 20s. A lot of us are putting, late 20s, 30s, we're putting our energies into building a family. Or even it just depends who you are, right? And then when you're sitting there growing your kids, at a certain point, they're very independent. It's like you put it into something else, right? So I feel like that's what they're saying. Learn to rest, not to give up. Where you're trying to build, and it's just like, whoever's supposed to, if you're a content creator, it's like whoever's supposed to see what you're putting out there is who's supposed to see the message. Because sometimes I'll think, oh, it's only this. And then I'll, like, one video, I didn't even know had that many views. It just happened to come up, and I was just like, oh, So it's just like, whoever resonates with you will they'll find you. Like they said, you will find your tribe. You will find where you're supposed to fit in. You will grow but if you're not putting your energy into it, you're not going to grow in it. You can't expect things to happen if you are not willing to grow and sacrifice and evolve. This is what this season's about, to evolve. So maybe you're like, I want to be stronger. So maybe you're starting a workout routine. You're like, while it's cooler, the first workout's always the hardest. After that, it's like nothing, Or if you're always physical, you're just like, damn, that was easier than I thought. If we stop building up things in our head that are going to be so hard and detrimental and, it's going to, we won't get through this. It's like, well, you won't get through it. Because you've already built up this narrative in your head that it's going to be so bad. That it's going to be this, it's going to be that. In a negative way. Because we're never taught to build it up in a positive way. Especially if you've grown up in a certain home. It's like it's always negative and da-da-da-da-da. And they're still going to be negative towards you. How those voices that were negative then will still be those voices when you grow up. Because they don't choose to evolve and change. So you be your own cheerleader. You be who they couldn't be for you. You be that for your children that weren't there for you. Don't take it out on your kids. That's not your kids' fault. Oh, well, I didn't have... Who cares? Now you're going to make it easier for the next generation. Because you're going to believe in them and involve them and be like, you know what? You're really good at that. You should keep up with it. Even if it doesn't turn out to be anything when they're adults. Maybe it ends up being a hobby. Who cares? At that moment, you were there. You were who they needed to be at that moment. So right now, if things are looking a certain way, it's because... you're not ready for the next step, because they're like, you're not evolving to who you need to be to get to that next level. So let's sit there, listen to ourselves, and fill our own cup, take rest when we need it, King of Wands, following our intuition, and knowing that what keeps pulling at our heart is where we're supposed to evolve to. So instead of standing in our way, let's get out of our own way and sit there and believe in ourselves that the reason that it keeps coming up and we feel like home there is because that's where you're supposed to be. That's who you're supposed to evolve to. With no harm to none, including yourself. So if you are drawn to the stars and astrology and the meanings of what the planets mean and all that good stuff, then maybe you need to take an astrology course, become a certified astrologer. Deborah Silverman always does courses for 6 weeks. It's 2.5 hours a day, and you become a certified astrologist. She puts sales up all the time. Or you could take some of her webinars. They're absolutely free, you know? Or you want to get into tarot. Get yourself a tarot card. You don't have to post. If you feel drawn to posting down the line, then post down the line. Start reading for people for free. You know? Sit there and go on lives. It's uncomfortable because of the environment that people build, but make a positive one. I police my stuff all the time. It's like if I don't see something that's not for the betterment of everybody, then it's gone. And they're gone. Because I'm like, this is not going to be a toxic environment where only some are invited because of one person's belief. Even if that's 50 of you, 100 of you, 400 of you beliefs. You know? It is for everybody and it's for anybody. Just because they don't fit in your little box does not mean that they're not welcome. That ain't gonna happen. You stay true to yourself. And what is supposed to be in your life will be in your life. But the biggest thing, you know, I was watching some of Kanye's documentary and they're just like, aren't you afraid of failing? And he's like, I've never failed at anything I've done. You know what I mean? Because he believed in himself. He knew that he could do things. He had a passion for things. Like they said, when you're worried about your wage, then you're in the wrong environment. Because it's just like, that will come. That part will come. The people that appreciate you will appreciate you. You know? When you do things from the goodness of your heart with no expectation, it's like they will find some sort of way to bless you. So put your best foot forward and see what happens and get out of your own way. So I hope you guys enjoyed this timeless reading. There's still some high holidays coming up. There's 2 more in October. And then it's quiet until Hanukkah in December. But I appreciate all of you that still interact with, you know, the videos. I try to post as much as I can. I know dailies is a little tricky because it's just, honestly, it's just been so full. And I'm thankful for that because it hasn't been, you know, it wasn't always that story after Shane passed away. You know, it wasn't always like this. So it's like, you know, my son tells me that all the time. He's just like, you know, I know it's busy, Mom, but he goes, you know, once upon a time it wasn't always like this. It was, you know, it was quiet. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. It's like, learn to enjoy the season you're in, you know? But you treat yourself well. Don't unlearn the toxic traits that we've been taught all of our lives. You know, instead of giving up, learn to rest. And even if that rest is 6 minutes, 6 seconds, 6 weeks, 6 years, learn to rest until you're ready again. You know, maybe you're evolving to something else. Maybe it's time to put that down and pick something else up. You know, it's just do what your heart desires. As long as you're not harming yourself, not harming others. You know, some of us have to work because it's a paycheck, you know. But, you know where your heart is. You know where your passion is. Follow your passion. May the universe bless you good. We'll see you for the next Daily Timeless Reading.